Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another video. The Pentium 4 seems to get a lot of hate, but I really love it. I had made really good experiences back in the day and now with my retro gaming. So I built a Pentium 4 and the goal is to see if we can use this Pentium 4 as my daily driver. So I'm gonna do all the things I usually do, which is my social media. I do a lot of research, I browse on eBay, I play older games from GOG and Steam, I play DOS games, I do some video editing, so we're gonna check out all of that, also Netflix and YouTube, a bit of entertainment as well. So let's take a first look at the machine. We've got a Gigabyte micro ATX case, the motherboard is from Intel, the Pentium 4 is for socket 775 and has hyper threading. I maxed out the RAM, 8 GB of DDR2, and we've got a nifty front panel device for hard drives. Windows 10 gets an SSD, and we're gonna play some DOS on this machine, and I'm gonna use a normal laptop platter hard drive. We also have a floppy drive. This lets me install MS-DOS quite easily. And for the graphics, this is the most modern video card I have. It's a NVIDIA GeForce GTX 660. We're using onboard for sound, and the power supply is a Corsair VS450. Let's have a go at installing Windows 10. This is the 64-bit version. I used the Microsoft Media Creator tool and made myself a DVD. It's booting from that now. So here we are, Windows 10 just installed. Initially the processor was maxed out. It was probably doing stuff in the background, but now it's slowing down and calming down a little bit. We've got plenty of RAM available. The hard drive, the SSD, is not being stressed at all. It's mostly the processor. We gotta do some driver updates. It's looking for some drivers. At the moment we have no Ethernet or Wi-Fi. I'm just gonna use a USB Wi-Fi dongle, connect to my home network, do all the updates, and then we check out what's going on. Okay guys, here we are on the desktop of our Pentium 4. Let's quickly run CPU set and see what these specifications are like. Or well, you already know what the specifications are, but let's just double check them. So we've got the Pentium 4 processor. This is the Pentium 4 661 with the Cyberlink processor, 65 nanometer, 3.6 gigahertz rated clock speed with hyperthreading. Motherboard is from Intel, the DQ965GF, and we have 8 gigabytes of DDR2 memory. And here we are in GPU set, so we can see the GeForce GTX 660 with 2 megabytes of video RAM. Okay, let's have a look what's on the system. So we can go here into the settings. And the response time is actually fine. It didn't take too long to respond. So what's going on here? We can have a system overview here. The display changing the resolution, everything. So everything is nice and responsive. It's definitely not laggy or anything negative at all. What else can we check out? Let's have a look at devices. We've got mouse and so on, the capture cards, speakers, that's all there. And once again, fairly responsive, having no issues at all in terms of how responsive it is and how fast everything seems to load and pop up. So definitely having the 8 GB RAM and the SSD certainly helps. Okay, some of the things I do a lot is watching videos, and I use mostly Netflix, but also watching a lot of YouTube. So let's try some Netflix first. There you go guys, so it's now running at 1920 by 1080, and looking at the CPU utilization on the right hand side, it hovers around 50% I would say. So definitely the video card helps a lot. It does a lot of GPU decoding, but still Pentium 4 handles Netflix in 2017 just fine. So here we are, the video runs at 1080p, 60 FPS, and yeah, the machine handles it fine. Once again, moving around the mouse and clicking slows it down, but if you just let go and let the machine figure it out, we're getting around 40-50% of CPU load, which is fantastic. So yep, the fast video card definitely helps out here with our Pentium 4. Those of you who have been watching me know that I enjoy benchmarking and also checking out games. Not really playing games, I've got very little time, and I enjoy actually playing with the hardware more than actually playing games. So we're going to look at some benchmarks, and then I'm going to run a few older games from GOG and Steam. I'm not too much into the current game. I use my PlayStation 4 for that. And we're also going to check out DOS gaming, real DOS, so not DOSBox. The Pentium 4 actually runs DOS really well, and it's got a floppy drive, so it makes installing DOS super easy. So let's have a look at some benchmarks. We've got 3D Mark 2001, we're getting 17,057 for that benchmark. In 3D Mark 03, the score goes up, 25,331. In 05, we're getting 6,047. And in 3D Mark 06, we're getting 5,445. And also ran the latest CPU set benchmark. I think it's version 1.80. We're getting 80.2 in single-threaded performance and 150.9 in multi-threaded. So huge boost in performance with hyper-threading, almost double. So that just shows you what's possible with that technology. And here we have pass mark 9.0. Here's the overall score, 655.5, and you can see the individual results on the screen. Some of the other tasks I do frequently is researching, looking on eBay or reading old articles on hardware reviews, and of course also social media, mostly Facebook. So let's have a quick look on eBay, how everything works. So usually I go to the computer section and I have a look at computer components and parts. And let's say I'm looking after some cheap motherboard combos. I run my search and I should get all the items. I'll narrow it down to Australia only just to save on shipping. I'm not interested in new items, so I'm going after used items. We've got 91 articles, and then I'm just gonna search by price and postage, and let's have a look if you're finding something interesting. But I can tell this is very responsive. I'm quite surprised. I expected a lot worse. So what have we got here? A socket A motherboard. Let's see if this works. Pulled from a working system. Doesn't have a spare cooler. So we're looking at $35 and $13 shipping. Socket A motherboard with a processor and RAM. There you go. It's quite affordable. You can place a bid as well. So there are lots of bargains out there if you just take the time to look around a little bit. But yeah, very impressed with the responsiveness. You can the items, they pop up fairly quickly, and really there's no lag. I can see myself doing eBay shopping and research quite comfortably on this machine. So here we're on Facebook. I blurred out the image for privacy reasons. I'm just gonna click on my Facebook group. Yep, that's not too bad. It scrolls quite smoothly. Let me just click on that picture. It does, yeah, that's not too bad. There's a bigger picture. Let's cross that off again. I'm gonna go to another group, someone else's Facebook group. Yeah, that opened just fine. Yeah, so Facebook is probably one of the slower websites where older machines do struggle, but once again, I'm quite surprised. I'm just gonna hit the notifications button. That's all working fine, and I'm gonna check my inbox as well. So look, yeah, once again, I'm quite positively surprised, to be honest. It is quite responsive, and Facebook is one of the more demanding websites, and the Pentium 4 does a really good job at handling Facebook. So yeah, very impressed. But does it run Crysis? Well, it looks good so far. The fraps counter doesn't seem to work. So yeah, we're just gonna play a little bit through the first level and see how it performs.
My shoot's gone. My damn shoot is gone. I've got no man, no reserve.
Keep it together, kid. You're overwatered. The suit should absorb the impact.
Okay, so far that seems to be running just fine. Let's take him out with a silencer. There you go, and let's see where the other guy is. It's probably over there. Oh, they already keep running. Okay, let's just, I think we have to kill that guy. Let's cloak. Is it this one? Which one is the cloaking? That one. Alrighty. Yeah, it seems to be running fine. As I said earlier, we don't have a fraps counter, but definitely seems to be running just fine. Okay, let's continue further into the mission. It gets a bit more demanding. Okay, we're getting into a more demanding area, so let's see how the Pentium 4 handles the transition. Yeah, look, oh, those graphics, look at that, so beautiful. 10 years old and that game still looks absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, it handled the transition very fine. It still runs fairly smooth. I remember playing this when Crysis came out, and this area was just a real challenge. So yeah, to answer the question, does it run Crysis? Absolutely, very smooth to be honest. Yes, it could be a little bit better with a Core 2 or something like that, but it's definitely playable, and this is with high details, so yeah, quite impressed. It runs Crysis quite well, to be honest. Okay, here we are in Far Cry. The first thing we can see is that the graphics have a few errors. The textures don't really show up correctly and the colors are all off. In terms of performance, yep, 40-30 FPS, so it runs alright, but definitely not ideal. Now, that should probably be the processor, not much the video card. The video card is definitely capable of running this game maxed out and super high frame rates, but it also could be a driver issue. So those of you who wonder, you know, what's the point of building a retro PC? Well, looking at Far Cry and how it runs on Windows 10 and on with this NVIDIA card and the latest drivers, that's the reason. A lot of games just don't run well, have graphics issues or performance issues or compatibility issues and bugs, and that's why we do this. That's why building retro PCs is so fun. But yeah, let's move on to the next game, Far Cry. In terms of performance, it does run alright, but we are getting some graphics issues, and that could probably be fixed by, you know, rolling back to an older driver or maybe trying one of those unofficial patches, but I just don't have time to test any of that in this video. Okay, we're gonna do some video editing. Cyberlink Powerdirector is what I'm using, and I just downloaded the latest trial version, so this is version 15, and the trial version, I'm not sure what limitations it has, but it will let me open some of my existing projects, do a few simple edits, try the rendering, and just seeing how fast it performs. Also, the installation in terms of performance, it's fine. It definitely doesn't struggle or throw any big pauses your way, so it's all still fairly responsive and you can multitask and do other things in the meantime. So yeah, once again, having lots of RAM and a decent video card certainly helps. Alrighty, here we are. So let's open the project file and let's just have a look how long this takes to load. In general, Powerdirector 15 usually, yeah, it's not one of the fastest programs to start up, but it's also not one of the, like Adobe, that takes forever to load. Okay, it's a frame, yep, let's just go yes. So it's just gonna import all the assets, the videos, the pictures, and so on. So we can see the CPU is definitely working quite hard. The disk is not too fast, and we can see the memory usage probably creeping up a little bit. Okay, here we're getting all the thumbnails updating slowly, so definitely that is a lot slower than what I used to, obviously, but let's just minimize this and let's see if we can do some basic editing. I'm just gonna delete this bit, moving all the clips. Let's see how long that takes to respond. Still thinking. Yeah, so that takes a lot longer than on my main desktop. Still thinking. Mouse is indicating that it's busy with the CPU. I can't even see my utilization here. Okay, Windows now thinks it's crashed, but it's not. We're just gonna wait for this to finish. But yeah, just deleting that one thing, if that takes so long, that, okay, it just finished. Okay, so we're just gonna render at 1080p and 60 FPS. Video format, we're gonna go with the US, which should be here. And yep, that's good to go. So let's press start and let's see what performance we're getting. It tells us we will see the frames here. And oh, that is super slow. Wow. So basically this one is a second and that one is an individual frame. So on my Core i7 it basically renders roughly in real time. So a 10 minute video clip renders at 10 minutes and every second it renders 60 frames, but that is a lot slower. So just rendering this 10-minute clip, it's telling us, wow, 9 hours? No way. Am I reading this wrong? Is it 9 minutes or is that really 9 hours? Yeah, I think that's 9 hours. Wow, that's really bad. So time available. And yeah, there you go. So this is obviously video editing and producing content to do with videos is not something this machine should be used for. You'll get very frustrated and it's just beyond what this machine can do. So yeah, it can do a lot of things, but video editing is definitely not one of them. And here we have some Half-Life 2. So this is the current Steam version, runs at 1080p. All the details are cranked up, I believe. It automatically chose quite high settings, and yeah, that game seems to run just perfectly on this machine. We're definitely getting above 60 FPS. I might just skip to a later stage that is a bit more demanding and see if anything changes. So here we are at a different stage of the game and the FPS does struggle now. It might have to do either physics or maybe with the reflections. It just runs a lot slower, around between 30 and 40 FPS, but still I would call this quite playable, and the Pentium 4 definitely does a good job at running Half-Life 2, that's for sure. Okay, here we are in Metro Last Light, and I believe this is the Redux version. It's like a remastered version with better graphics. And yeah, this game definitely struggles. Now I'm not quite sure what the issue is, if it's the video card or the processor. It might actually be the graphics card. The GTX 660 is not that powerful and it definitely struggles. We're getting around 20-25 FPS. Okay guys, here we're a little bit deeper into the game. It runs at full HD, 1080p, and we're getting around between 20 and 30 FPS most of the time. Very good looking game, that's for sure. And I think the GTX 660 struggles with that game as well. It's just a little bit too much. Okay, let's check out some DOS gaming. So I've basically from the floppy disk installed a copy of MS-DOS 6.22, including the starter pack. I've created this start menu with various memory options, CD-ROM driver, mouse, and so on. We're getting a few errors. 8 GB is just, DOS doesn't know what to do with it. And we've got a few games here. So let's check out some of these games. The image is a little bit underscanned, I believe is the correct term. It's just a little bit smaller, and it's also in widescreen, but that's normal, so you have to correct for the aspect ratio in a way. But otherwise, it runs pretty well, and a lot of DOS games actually run fine on such a fast machine, which can be quite surprising. So that game also runs pretty well. It's been a long time since I've played this, but yeah, it just feels like playing it yesterday, to be honest. I know that level pretty well. Oh, we've got a working mouse. That's beautiful. That's a USB wireless mouse. Just one of those Microsoft ones. Okay. Let's pick up the shovel here. Yep, that's all working great. Let's try something else. This is a really difficult game. I always found it very difficult when I played it back in the day. Lots of memorization, where the enemies go, what pattern they are taking in order to get all the money upgrades, which you really needed to get further into the game. Yeah, I was never quite good with these type of games. I much preferred games like simulation games like Wing Commander, or racing games, or adventures, of course. So I think F10 to quit. There we go. What else can we try? Fate of Atlantis, of course. So that's also working great. So we just have to click here to get further in the introduction sequence. Really good game. If you haven't played Fate of Atlantis yet, you missed out. You definitely have to. Alrighty, let's see what else we have. Actually got a ton of other games to try. Let's quickly have a go at Gods. So that's also playing very well. No music with the PC speaker, but we're getting some sound effects, so definitely better than nothing. So even without a sound card, you can definitely do a bit of DOS gaming. The music isn't ideal, but it's better than nothing, to be honest. It's also been ages since I played this, but I know the track. Well, there you go. I don't know the track well. I thought I did. Totally overlooked this bit, so let's get back out. Press escape. There you go. And let's try one more game that we haven't tried yet. Heart of China. There you go. That also runs really well. So yeah, ton of DOS games that are playable on this machine. So let's summarize this project. Firstly, yes, I built a fairly decent Pentium for one of the newer Socket 775 chips with hyperthreading, low power. We're using PCI Express, DDR2, so I did pick a few components and made choices to give this Pentium 4 really a good shot at being your daily driver. Having lots of RAM is definitely important, and having good storage in the form of an SSD drive is also something I recommend with anyone building a machine to use as your daily driver. The video card, the GTX 660, did a great job at accelerating all the video stuff. So watching YouTube, watching Netflix, all that stuff worked fine on the Pentium 4. In terms of using the internet, doing Google searches, reading up on articles, hunting for cheap stuff on eBay, or just using Facebook and other social media platforms, all of that worked fine. Facebook is probably one of the more demanding websites, and even that was quite snappy, to be honest. So definitely for that kind of stuff, also the Pentium 4 is very decent as your daily driver. With gaming, it depends a lot on what game you choose. I'm not into the latest and greatest games these days. I don't have the time, and I'm also a bit of a tight ass, so I go after games that are on Steam sale or GOG sale and a little bit older and are fully patched, and all the walkthroughs are done and they just work well. And those games run really well on this machine. Crysis ran fine, Half-Life 2 ran fine. It struggled a little bit with Metro Last Light. That's probably it's probably the most demanding game I tested. It also runs all the emulators, of course. You can run DOSBox, ScumVM, console emulators, RetroArch, and all that stuff. And it runs pure DOS. Having access to a floppy drive made installing DOS super easy. And you have to live with the PC speaker, unfortunately. There's just no way to get a sound card going under real DOS. But PC speaker, look, it gives you that retro feeling. And, well, it's better than nothing, to be honest. The area where the Pentium 4 really struggled and where I just can't recommend it is video editing. It's just, it's beyond the capability. It doesn't have enough threads and enough cores, and it's just not going to work. editing videos with low resolutions, maybe something from an older Handycam or S-video, or capturing stuff from old retro consoles, it will very likely handle that task just fine. But full HD and 60 FPS videos, it's just beyond the capabilities of what this computer can do. So there you have it, guys, the Pentium 4 in 2017, still going strong. Of course, it does depend a little bit which Pentium 4 it is, and I have given it extra RAM and solid state and all of that. And Windows 10 surprises me all the time. It actually runs really well. So let me know down below in the comments, what do you think about this project and using a Pentium 4 in 2017. As always, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit the like or the dislike button and share the video with your friends. And that's it for this video. I shall see you soon with another one.